And I just got back, not but just a few minutes ago. I took a shower. Man, I tell you, this was one of the longest trips I think I've ever done. I think altogether it was about 24 hours with a little bit of cat nap here and there. And it looks like we're live. So, welcome everybody to ClearPropTV Paramotor Podcast, also known as PPG Grandpa's Paramotor Podcast. If you just want to listen to us, we do have the audio version, and you can go over to paratalk.org. Tonight is episode 159. And tonight we're going to be talking about, well, I guess about a lot of things, but mostly the trip that we took over to Florida. I was able to take this wonderful guy, David. The doctor said that they gave him 30 days to live. His last wish was to go and learn how to fly. So it was really difficult to find somebody that would be able to get him up on a tandem because he does weigh a little bit more than a typical pilot. So we looked around, we tried to get some people to take him up. And Mark and Shanna over at Serenity Island in Florida said, bring him down here. Let's see what we can do. So we went down, and let me tell you, we ended the podcast last week. We got a little bit of sleep. We jumped in the car, and we drove all day, all night, most of the day, got there, continued to talk to them. I mean, obviously, when you get there, it's like, hey, how are you? I had a great time, and meet up everybody. And it was really wonderful. Got a little bit of sleep, but we got up really early. And I took my first flight on the trike, and I was exhausted. And it didn't take very long for the winds to kick up. So we had a lot of good time as far as a lot of training, a lot of knowledge. Mark was a really good trainer down there, and David really sucked it in. He was like, man, this is really interesting. I really like what you guys got going on here. So anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about that. Also talking about the things that I learned over in Florida. And the things that I learned, all right, here's something real quick, just to break in the things that I learned as an instructor. One of the things that I like to do is to, I train foot launch and I train trike. One of the things that they not only did they tell me about, but they also gave me is this little gadget. What do you think this is right here? And you probably see a little remote, and you probably see this thing with a transmitter. And if you think a remote kill switch, then you are absolutely correct. So this is a remote kill switch. So as I'm training someone on the trike, I can hold this in my hand, and if it oscillates too much and it seems like it's too dangerous, and I say kill, 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 but the motor doesn't kill, I can actually remote kill the motor. I never heard of this. And once again, that's why you go to advanced training. You learn about a lot of neat things. Anyway, this is going to be a wonderful podcast about a lot of interesting things, everything about safety, about trikes, and we got a really wonderful panel here. Will Fly just got back and was able to log in to be on here. Scuba Steve is on here, and Paramom's on here. So let's go ahead and say hello to everybody real quick. Will Fly, you just got back from Florida. How was that trip, buddy?
I so wish I'm so wish I got back. I'm only halfway there, so I decided I'd pull over and spend the night and got a Cracker Barrel. So good food, free accommodations. You can't beat that.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, I thought that you weren't going to make it back tonight. So you actually stopped along the side of the road using your phone to be on here tonight. Will Fly,
I
thank you so
did.
much. That is amazing.
Yeah, man. Had a real nice weekend. Went down to Florida to hang out with my homies, Shane and Mark, Smart Car Brian, his family, and Krista. And yeah, just had a great time. It was condensed soup as far as activity. And tomorrow night we're gonna have a great show. We'll tell you all about our shenanigans that we tried to pull, and something to do with crossing the state of Florida. But I'll give you a hint. We started out as five. How
Oh,
many
that
were
sounds,
left? Yeah.
I think I know where this is going. So, for those of you out there that don't know what he's talking about, Will, real quick, can you tell us what podcast is this and how do we get over there tomorrow evening?
Yeah, man. It's called Paramotor Hangout, and it's every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on YouTube. Uh, quickest, bestest way is to just go to ppgshane.com. It'll take you right over there. Should be a good show.
It sounds like it's going to be amazing. If it seems like I don't have the pep in my step like I normally do, I was just telling them before we went live that I just got back, took a shower, took some things out of the car, threw some stuff in the washer, and here I am. I mean, I just got back just in time for this. So I apologize if I don't have my normal flair.
Flair.
Whatever you want to call it, the grandpa flair. So thank you, Will Fly.
Zing.
We definitely appreciate that. And of course, too, if you guys don't know Will Fly, definitely go over to willflyppg.com. Subscribe to his YouTube channel, hit that bell notification. He comes up with some amazing stuff, and something tells me after this flying, he's going to have some good stuff up there. I hope you do. I'll be watching.
Thanks.
We also got Scuba Steve in the house, and he actually has a really interesting podcast on Fridays. Friday, Scuba Steve can tell us about that real quick.
Friday, 8 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. I do a lot of talking about vaping and rebuilding and new mods and stuff like that, and a little bit of paramotor talk. I like to sneak that in there when I can. I'm probably going to have to separate the channel out once I start doing a lot of flying to a whole nother channel because it'll get too confusing.
I don't know. I came over to your channel, and that was really neat the way you were talking about vaping. And then, when you're ready to launch, you vape to see which way the wind's going before you launch. I mean, you did some really good stuff that actually intermingled.
Yeah.
So
it's good.
Yeah. So how do we get to that channel on Fridays?
You can just go to paramotordude.com. That'll take you straight over to my YouTube channel. That's the easiest way to find me. There you go. Paramotordude.com. Friday, 8 to 10. Yep.
Paramotordude.com. Excellent.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Scuba Steve, for making it here also. And we
Mhm.
also got the beautiful Linda Anderson, also known as ParamomUSA.com. How are you doing, Miss Linda?
Hey, I'm good. Welcome, chatters, listeners, viewers, everybody out there tonight, a Monday night. What number show is this tonight? I got to keep better track.
Tonight is 159. This is season 4. We've been doing this 4 years, and this is episode 159.
That's cool. So next we're going to be season 160. So that's, for some reason, that just sounds so cool. I mean, gosh, 4 years, I think, going on the show with you guys with ClearPropTV podcast. It's so much fun. I totally look forward to Mondays, and I'm happy that you guys that you got back safe, Grandpa, and that Will Fly. You be careful and get back safe too tonight, and get your rest and your vitamins and all that stuff. But welcome everybody. It's just kind of a laid back show tonight, so just chill with us. Thank you for joining out there. I don't know who's out there yet, but we'll find out in a little bit. So
absolutely.
thank you, chatters.
Greg Laney says, Sean, that the word you were looking for it's a certain je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, that French word that just didn't come to me. I don't know why. The French. I mean, the only thing I can think of right now that's French is French toast, maybe French fries, but that's it. My brain is fried like French fries. And if you want to be on the show, or you want more information about the show in depth, go to paramomusa.com. That forwards over to Linda's Facebook, and you can PM her and say, hey, I want to be on the show, and she'll hook you up.
Hey, just call me, message me, text me, whatever you want to do, and I'll get you set up. So
excellent.
It's a lot of fun, as you can see.
It is. It really is a lot of fun. So I learned a lot, but I know one of the things that you guys are wondering, did David get up in the air? Well, unfortunately, the wind did not cooperate. We didn't have a big enough wing to accommodate that. We actually got me and another guy in the tandem trike just to check it out. We only got like maybe 100 or so feet. because we're big boys, and he weighs a little bit more than me, so we knew that it wasn't going to happen. So we got up with a couple of dealers. We got up with the APCO dealer and over at Kangook America, and they both have really good deals on some tandem wings, 42 meter, and we're going to find out which one would be the best for us, order that, and get that taken care of. So he's really doing well. He is so excited. He's also exhausted. I think I just dropped him off also. I think he crawled directly in bed, did not pass go, nor did he collect $200 and zonked out. So he had a blast, and it was absolutely amazing. Anyway, last week, because we don't have the spinny wheel Winnie things because of Will Fly, last week we did have a special name or a special code that we decided that we wanted to use for this week's winner. So if you remember what it was, or you heard it, you win a Vortex Aero travel mug, which is amazing. If you don't know, Linda, this gray thing that's on top, right? You put a can in there, like your can of Coke or whatever, and then you put that on top of it. Now you have a koozie that really keeps it warm or cold or whatever.
Nice.
You're on mute, Paramom.
Okay. It took me the longest time to figure out what this green piece was for. And I was at my son's, and I kept playing with it, and I'm like, what is this for? And he grabs it, takes it.
Okay, you know that you have a green screen behind you? We can't see the green thing that you're talking about.
Oh, well, you go. Oh, that's
it's just blank. It's just your back.
okay. Well, you know what I'm
Invisible.
talking about, that piece
Right.
that you have.
It's a rubber piece that goes on the bottom. So you got
Yeah.
you got 3 pieces that go with this. You
Yeah.
got the rubber piece that goes on the bottom so
Yeah.
things don't move around. You have a travel mug piece, the normal one that comes up so you can sip and then clicks down so you don't spill
Yes.
anything. And then this gray thing right here where you can put a can of soda in and put this soda thing in, or put the top on and screw it on. Now you have a koozie, a really good koozie from Vortex Aero.
Yeah,
Anybody say
that's
what
nice.
the name
Yeah, I didn't
was?
know what that green thing was for, and you just pop it on the bottom of the can or whatever, so it doesn't.
Oh my goodness,
tip
guess
over.
what? I'm looking up here and I already see that everybody said, now you got to spell it right. So
Yeah,
next
Dewey's got it.
Batman spelled
Next
it
Batman.
almost right.
I don't know.
Dewey's
Well, Batman-
Milstead spelled it right. It's camel
Yep.
toe, like we're towing the camel up in the air.
Yay!
Ah,
So Deweese, you win. That's Paramotor Woman. You can find her at paramotorwoman.com. If you want to, Deweese, just give me a holler, text
Good
me
job.
tomorrow, and we will send that out to you. Congratulations. So now we also want to say, to other people. All right. So we want to say congratulations to Serenity Island. They did get the correct spelling, but not quickly in time. I'm sorry about that. Semper Flydillis got it right. Bill H got it right, but
Cool.
just not quick enough. But thank you so much, Deweese. Make sure you text me tomorrow and we'll send you this out. And this is from Vortex Aero.
Yay! You're gonna love it, Deweese. You're gonna
got
love
Oh,
it.
fine.
got a question about your engine keel.
Yes.
Is it, or do you know yet, is it a quick press or do you have to push and hold?
Actually, I do not know. This is what I got from Mark and Shanna from Serenity Island. They gave me this right here. This is all the stuff, and I got the instructions.
I'm just hoping it's a push and hold, just because sometimes there's some strange radio signals out there. And if they're
Right.
taking off and it hits it and kills it and brings them right back down, that could be a bad thing more than a good thing. But if
And-
it's a
and-
push and hold, you're probably
So,
okay.
so,
Well, I see on this too, it looks like it has a lock and unlock. So I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure how this works. Like I said, I just got in the house and I can't wait to read up on this and find out all about this. I learned so much. I can't even tell you. I can. I can't even begin to tell you how much I was able to learn. I mean, just absolutely fantastic. And there's a couple other things that I want to talk about also, as far as the things that I learned over there, because these things can transfer over to you guys. you don't need to be an instructor to learn some of these things. Obviously, you're not going to have this, but as far as these other things that I'm going to be talking about, this will really help you out as a paramotor pilot, trike pilot, or anybody that wants to go and fly in the sky. Anyway, we will continue talking about that. And like I said, David was so happy. He learned so much, and the sparks in his eyes just grew like this. He was like, this is going to give me something to live for. And he was fasting. He was eating healthy. He's wheelchair bound, but let me tell you, he was walking around with a cane. He was walking around so much and got so strong, he left his cane down there. So Mark and Shannon, if you find the cane when we come back, he may or may not need that.
Wow.
So he is doing so good. I mean, can you imagine having so much excitement in your life? You're like, I want to live so bad. I want this. And this is one of the reasons why we have these nonprofits out there. You have the big one, Resurgence PPG, that's trying to help disabled veterans get up in the sky. We have Project Airtime that takes up anybody on a tandem so they can feel what it feels like. This is absolutely amazing. We started Run into the Sky to help disabled veterans also with equipment. And we got amazing people that can actually fabricate different types of trikes to help people that may not have an arm, may not have a leg, to be able to get them up in the sky. So we are really getting a lot of people involved with this. And I cannot wait to see what actually comes of this by the end of the year. I mean, I am so excited. If this can help this guy, I got chills. I really do. This is going to be so absolutely amazing. Anyway, Will, any questions out there?
I got some questions.
Okay.
Daniel Ross says Resurgence rocks. I'm just gonna say, yeah, I agree with that. Right on. But on that key fob, one of those buttons say eject.
You know what? I see where this is going, and
Yeah.
why not have an eject? I just watched Top Gun Maverick again, and I think that we need to have an eject for these things.
Yeah, no, seriously. We've talked several times about having an alternate cutoff kill switch. And I'd love to know more about that and wonder if that could be converted. I mean, you'll know more when you go to install it, how easy it is to install, but if that could be used as an alternate kill switch.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even think about that. There's been numerous times that my kill switch did not work, and I had
Mine
to,
too.
pop off the spark plug or try to kill it. And that's dangerous getting your hands back there. So having something like this, and it looks like it does have a clippy, but you could, I guess, zip tie it on your throttle. So if that kill switch doesn't work, you just reach over and press that, and that's a really good idea. Now, did you just say that, or was that in the chat?
No, I just said that because I'm interested in that. So I mean, there'd be and back to back to what Steve was saying. It also depends on, is it a press and hold? Is it a instant, boom?
Right.
That matter, So
yeah, that could be bad if you're taking off and accidentally bump that and kill your engine, and you face plant or something. That would be bad. I'm hoping it's a push and hold. If not, there may be a setting you can change to make it push and hold, or it may be like Sean's thinking, it has a lock unlock. Maybe you have to unlock the remote before it activates. If that's the case, that'll work too.
Yeah.
Unlock the remote, then hit the kill.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet, but there's
you'll have plenty of time. I know you don't want to read right now. You're tired, man. Don't worry about that.
A lot of stuff right there. So I am really, really excited. And like I said, Air Sports USA down there, Mark and Shanna are absolutely amazing. They're serenityisland.org. They're doing so many things for people down there too. They're the ones that do the Parapalooza. So they actually own an island. They want to help you out. They've really helped me out too. So definitely shout out to Mark and Shanna over at Air Sports USA and Serenity Island. Another thing that they gave me too. Now I know that we do not need to keep logs, okay? But one of the things that I learned was These are really inexpensive. I mean, you can just print these things out. I once I find a digital copy of this, I'll link it so you guys have something like this too. But you just put this on a regular clipboard, and then every time that you work on your engine for any reason, pre-maintenance, it's like something's wrong. It's like, oh, you were just checking your bolt patterns, and one of them was really loose. Oh, 6 bolt, one of my bolt patterns was really loose when I checked it for the pre-flight or the post-flight or whatever it was. It's like or I changed out the spark plug today to today's date, so when you actually change out your spark plug. So anything that you do, it's hard to remember it. So if you have this hanging on your paramotor and you pre-flight or post-flight, I think this is an absolutely amazing thing. And like I said, we'll go ahead and add this digitally, because I think personally, this would be great for anybody that's out there, an instructor, a student, someone's been flying for a while. This noggin thing, it doesn't work all the time, but this paper, you'll always be able to see. Does anybody out there do this already? And if you do you use paper or do you use something on your phone? Can you leave that information in the chat? I'd like to know what you guys do. All right. Will?
Daniel, is it Daniel Roush or Roosh? I'm sorry if I'm
Daniel Roosh.
Roosh, okay. He said that he installed an inline ball valve on the fuel line that can be reached in flight. Takes about 8 seconds to kill the engine. So yeah, that's the important part, to be able to do it in flight. I cannot reach my primer bulb. If I tried to, actually I might be able to reach the primer bulb, and there's something about putting my hand back behind me with the spinning prop that kind of gets my just kind of scares me. But have you heard of, I've heard of people adding an alternate, like a little electric kill switch. So the options are basically you either have to starve it from fuel or fire or air, right?
Yeah,
So
that's it.
Another thing too is those little clips that you can put on your fuel line that you push together, and it actually clips it closed, and that will kill the fuel line. But depending on where you put it, it may still spin for a while. So that's still an option. It's still better than putting your hands back there and trying to fill that spark plug.
Yeah.
Nobody go buy one of those and go, oh, I'll use that switch to inject nitrous. No, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, and the longer you make your fuel line, I mean, the more chance that I would have to see it done. I mean, I'm more visual than whatever, but I'd have to actually see how the line would be run, because my fear would be it would be a snag hazard of some kind, or sometimes your glove will catch something, or I don't know. So I'd kind of like to see what Daniel's talking about.
So you're saying that the kills, all the paramotor, the motors they all have to have kill switches on them, or is that something that you add on to?
They all have kill switches. I mean,
and they're all
how else would you turn the motor off?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they're all like behind you then, because you were saying, Will, that you don't like the idea of.
Yeah, on the throttle.
Okay.
Yeah, so normally on the throttle, so you have your throttle, and then usually your thumb right there will either be a button or a switch of some sort that will kill the motor.
Okay. So when you're flying, you always have that just in case, right? You know where it is, or you're holding on to it the whole time you're flying.
One thing that Kyle O'Glee showed me, which I think is a great idea, especially for people with certain types of throttles. I forget which throttle it is. Pardon me. If you have one of those smooth throttles with the kill switch on top, what he does is he takes a zip tie and puts it right there. That way your thumb doesn't just slide up and hit the kill switch. You will bump into that zip tie, and it doesn't aggravate your hand or anything. It's just a small zip tie that'll keep your thumb from going up and hitting your quick kill switch by accident. There's a lot of them that have that smooth dome kill switch, and it's really easy to accidentally hit that thing. Some of them are down in, and you have to kind of push down in there, which that'd be a lot, safer to keep you from accidentally killing your motor. But
Hmm.
that zip tie has helped me to keep from hitting my kill switch by accident.
Oh, interesting.
hmm
Yeah, you don't want to do that too often then, right? When you're up in the air and you bump that, then your motor, obviously your motor turns off, right? And then you have to restart it, right? When you're up
Seen
there.
a lot of people, they do it on launch. They're going, and then the instructor will tell them, hey, more power, and instead of more power, they hit the kill switch. And when they do that, it just causes lots of problems.
Okay.
Especially if you're just
Interesting.
coming up in the air and you hit the kill switch like that, it's
Okay.
going to dump you so fast. Yeah, you don't want that to happen.
So for
Man.
people that don't know, like Linda or someone that wants to get into the sport or listening to this, thinking about getting into the sport and they don't understand what we're talking about, a kill switch is to kill the motor. Sometimes that kill switch doesn't kill. So you land, you're ready to kill the switch, or hit that kill switch, and the motor's still spinning.
Right.
Well, if that blade is still spinning and your lines come down, or you get something in it, it could pull in your lines. It can grab your throttle. So it's pretty dangerous if you can't kill it when you need to. So sometimes that doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, then we need to find alternative ways of killing the motor. So we're talking about pulling the spark plug cap, that will kill the motor, hitting the primer bulb, that will kill the motor. And then on most of the carburetors, there's a button that you can push. If you are able to push that button, that will also flood the carburetor, which will kill the motor. And then,
Wow.
and now we're trying to figure out what are some other ways. Now, Will Fly, did you see something else that Daniel said?
Yeah, there was that also. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could do a couple of steep spirals, or that always does the trick on my motor. Let's see. So Daniel Roos says, I ran my fuel line to the front side of the cage netting down where I can reach it and back up to the car with the extra fuel line, and the extra fuel line makes no difference on how it runs. And then James said, I've had my kill switch fail once. I climbed up to 1,000 feet and could actually he turned slightly and was able to pull the spark plug boot off of the plug. And you remember, what was his name? He made the strobes. He 3D printed the strobes.
Keegan Mold?
Yeah,
With
Keegan, that's right.
With far
Keegan.
out strobes?
Yeah, you remember when he had something attached, like a little string. I mean, it was just rigged for his purpose at that time, but he had a little string attached to the boot where he could pull it off. You remember that when he needed to cut the motor?
I was just thinking that
options.
Yes. But the question is, you don't really think about it until that happens. I also saw, and I couldn't see who it said, but they said if you have EFI, you don't have to worry about a kill switch. Is that true? I don't know how that would.
I would still think you need to kill the motor.
Who said that? I can't see on here something about. Let me scroll up a little bit. If you said something about an EFI and you don't need it, can you let us know what you said? I can't find it right now.
Yeah, so Dana, Mr. Dana 54, what's up, man? He says he's seen a couple of guys use the string method around the boot. So, I mean, hey, that is a down and dirty way of having a backup. I mean, of course, not all paramotors used to have clutches too. So that's a thing. The thing, it's what would scare me the most about having not being able to have a working kill switch would be if I had a stuck throttle full,
Yeah.
And that, I mean, on landing, I just basically land. It's not that big of a deal with the clutch, right? I mean,
well, I mean, if it's full throttle, I mean, if you're still talking about full throttle, I think the only thing you could do is just keep on staying up there until you can figure something out and just
run out of gas.
Run out of gas.
Just don't go above 18,000 feet. Stay below 17,999 feet or below. You'll be fine.
Exactly.
What does that boot? So you're talking about a boot. what does it look, what does that look like? Is
Looks
that
like
a
looks like
cover?
a L. It's a boot
Oh.
that slides over your spark plug, and some of them are really hard to get off. So putting a string on there may just slide down the wire. So you'd have
Oh.
to have it gripped on there pretty good, and it'd have to pull straight up to pop it off. I know mine's hard to get off. It doesn't just pop off.
They all come with the boot then, or that's just optional, you know, like, or do you just, like, you can put the boot on, or you don't have to kind of thing? Is it preference?
No,
Linda,
the
that
boot
is
the boot
required.
is how the motor runs. If you don't have the spark plug on, the motor doesn't run. And that's why
Okay.
we said that if the boot is on, the motor's running. But if we pull the boot
Oh.
off, then it won't get the spark and then your motor stops.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. See, I'm learning some things again.
Yeah. If it didn't have the boot on there, then it could arc to your motor, and that would also kill your motor. So that's why they put the rubber boot over that, so it won't short out, and
Oh,
that which will also stop
okay.
your motor. That's basically what you're doing anyway, is shorting out the coil to make your motor die. That's all you're
Okay.
doing.
I'd be scared of
Yeah.
that boot getting stuck.
Well, what we can do, Linda, is we can take a picture of this, and then tomorrow, just call me. I'll take a picture of it, and I'll kind of maybe explain to you, maybe FaceTime or something.
Oh, okay. Either that, I can just Google it.
Google it.
I'm
I guess you
And the
could
Goo-
Google it.
the Google girl.
Well,
Yeah.
Dr. Google will take care of you and let you know
Yep.
what a spark plug boot is.
That's right.
So I've had a couple of times where my cutoff has failed, my kill switch, and the thing is you don't really you don't know that your kill switch has failed until you go to use it, right? I mean, and when you go
Oh,
to
wow.
use it, you're landing. So it should be always in the back of your mind that it is a possibility that your kill switch isn't going to work. But this would be something that I don't know how we would address it, but if your kill switch fails, what would be the safe way now of handling the throttle? If you were by yourself, what would be the safe
Mhm.
way of managing the throttle as you got out of the harness and, for safety reasons, so it didn't get away from you?
Good question.
And so when your kill switch didn't work, my question is, where did it fail? Was it the wiring in your throttle, or was it the wire that hooks back where the coil is? Because I've seen them break in both places. Either it'll pop off where the coil is and it won't work, or the wire is so thin in the throttle they just wear and pop off, then it don't work. So what
It
happened to
happened
yours?
in between. It's it was the line. It was the
Oh, in the
wire
line
that broke
itself?
both times.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it just frayed after a while, and it stopped making good connection.
Hmm.
Oh, that was the first time. The second one was it was a bad ground. I didn't have a good ground connection.
I got you.
That was an easy fix.
After the fact.
After the fact, right?
So I think that one of the things that we would have to do is, just like when we're flying, we're always looking for an out, right? What happens if the motor goes out? Now we have to think, what happens if the motor doesn't go out? And one thing that you can think about is when you land, you always want to make sure that you land fast enough or into the wind enough that you can turn around and kite your wing down, right? So once the wing is in front of you, now it's safe enough if you have a buddy to wave them over, or you can take off your paramotor, right? Because the wing's here and your spinny blade is going that way. You take it off, you slide it down really careful, you turn around. And my thing is to always press that button where that carburetor is, because it's usually on your back side. It's not on the blade side of your paramotor. And if you can't get to that, pop the boot.
That's the other thing. I've seen a lot of people, when they land, a lot of people don't continue running and turn around and kite their wing down. And whether you realize it or not, people, your motor is hot that's on your back. If you just stop when you land and that wing comes down on your exhaust, it's going to melt that wing. It will melt that wing. So
let me tell you about my first wing that happened. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well, one of the
Wow.
things that I was doing when I first started was, I wanted to, land, let it go behind me so I could learn how, and keep on doing the forward inflations, come around, land, let it go behind me and do that. Well, I was doing that fine. I did that for a long time until it landed, and then the wind shifted, pushed it up against my motor and burnt a hole in my brand new wing about
Mm.
that big. However, when you send it in, it only costs $20 for them to repair the entire cell. So
Wow.
it wasn't horrible. I spent more on the shipping than I did on repair, but I don't let that fall behind my back anymore. And I definitely tell my students, don't let it fall behind your back ever. You want to keep it in control going forward, turn around and kite the wing down. Got to be careful. You don't want that
Yeah.
thing.
If you're not melting the wing, I mean, your lines also come down there. If your prop's still spinning, you can just mangle those lines, cut them, fray them, damage them, get it spun up in the prop. All that's bad. All of it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so if there's somebody else there, like James was saying, it's always, call somebody over and tell them to pull the plug. But if you're by yourself, you got to be mindful of the throttle and
Yeah,
not
they're
hit the
saying reach
throttle accident.
back and pinch the fuel line. I don't think I can even reach my fuel line. I mean, the only way I'd be able to do that is extend the fuel line like the other guy did in chat, because I can't physically reach back to my fuel line. That ain't happening. So
Grandpa can't do it either. I don't
yeah.
have that type of thing.
I think I could reach my bulb. I think I could reach
What?
that. I
Oh,
think I
your
could
You can reach
reach
bulb.
the
the
bulb.
bulb.
Yeah.
Bulb. Okay, your bulb. Gotcha.
Hmm.
I think I can, but in that moment of wow, my kill switch isn't working. Where is that bulb? So maybe just like the reserve, I mean, one of the things that you're taught in school is the first thing that you do before you launch is where's my reserve, my handle, the pins in. Okay, so my reserve is there. So you always check to see where your reserve is, and you mentally go my reserve. But when you're landing and that kill switch doesn't work, how many times do you do a thing where it's like, okay, my bulb is right here? I don't think I would ever do that. It doesn't come up enough, but we definitely need to remember which side our primer bulb is. I fly many different motors, and they're all in different spots. So maybe that's something I need to do is to put
Marcos
on
wants
that
to
little
know
spring.
how many engine outs we've had. I haven't had any yet, but mine don't count because I haven't had enough hours. So how many engines outs have you guys had?
I've
Um,
had 4.
Oh,
Will,
see, Will's got it documented. Engine out, engine out.
I've had numerous. Do you want to talk about your engines out and why you had them out? If not, I'll tell you about mine. Engine outs. Why did you have the engine out? And how could you correct it?
The first engine out, honestly, I don't know what caused it. It was one of those, my best guess, it was just a carburetor tuning issue. And it was an adjustment to the, the idle was low. It was just a carb issue. And I was
Okay.
close to the ground. I couldn't do anything about it. Made several attempts to try to start it, but I was too close to the ground and just basically landed. The second one, uh, basically the throttle broke, the cable broke.
Oh,
So
wow.
I mean, my motor stayed on, but I couldn't do anything with the throttle.
Hmm.
So I'm, I turned around and landed at the field. I was just foot dragging. This is why it's so important to always have an out, always know where you're going to land, play that game with yourself and start picking little places. Before long, you'll like kind of naturally do it. It just comes second nature. The third one was when it was a really long flight. It was like a 2.5 hour flight, and I was on final approach to land at my LZ. And just as I went to hit the kill switch, boop, 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 I ran out of fuel.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, perfect timing, but a good lesson.
I'm
Good.
so paranoid about that. I think half the time I was in the air, I kept checking my gas level. I was like, I'm going to run out of gas. I'm going to run out of gas. It lasts longer than I thought it would.
That is really interesting too, because one of the things that you can do is you can mimic a engine out, right? As far as killing your kill switch at 100 feet, 500 feet or higher, right? You get up to 1,000 feet. You're like, okay, I'm going to pretend, because my LZ's right here, that I'm flying along and boop, kill your engine. It's like, oh, that way you can kind of feel, because, you're probably going to be on throttle. So be on throttle at half throttle, if you're going to do this, and you're on half throttle, kill that switch, and you're going to notice that yourself, because this is how you fly right here, right? And as soon as you kill that motor, you do this pendulum thing and you dive a little bit, and you're like, whoa, what is that? So get used to that, understand what that feeling is when that motor dies, and then go, okay, time to spot land. Hopefully you've been doing a lot of spot landing before you kill your motor and do this. I would definitely do a lot of spot landings with the motor on, down to the ground. You don't want to kill it and end up in a tree, obviously. But touch and goes is a great way to learn that. And then once you got that dialed in, go up to 1,000 feet, half throttle, kill that motor, and you feel that, whoa, you feel that surge and stuff. It's like, you got to learn what that is too, so it doesn't freak you out and you're like, whoa, what's going on?
We did when I was training with Kyle, when you're up high enough, obviously you want to do this when you're low, but he would get me to pull the brakes and then let off so I could feel that swoosh. You can actually feel like the brakes catch and you'll almost stall and then come down, and it gives you an idea of how long it takes before your wing levels out. It's a good way to learn the wing and how it's going to swoop in when you go to flare. When it's going to start to level out if you just pulled and let off. But yeah, okay.
So my engine outs were fuel line cracking or something like that, or actually running out of fuel. The most recent was over in Florida when I was doing training. One of the things that they wanted me to do is a dead stick, right? When you turn off your motor at 1,000 feet or whatever. While I was going up, and I was like, oh, let's just keep on going up, because it just got warmer and warmer. It was beautiful out there, so I got to 2,000 feet. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna probably actually ran out of gas at that time. I'm like, wow, how perfect timing was that? Now here's something that you got to think about too. At altitude, right? You can have really higher winds, and as you get lower, there's almost nil wind. So you got to know how that wind is blowing from ground all the way up to where you are, because if you're up here and it's blowing 30 miles an hour, right, and you lose that power, now you got to immediately figure out, okay, how am I going to get this way so I can get myself down here? Because when I lost power, I was up in that nice breeze, right? It was about 30 miles an hour. I was basically just sitting there. So as I was sitting there, and lost it, I was kind of coming down like an elevator. As soon as I got out of that wind, I started moving forward, which now where I thought I was going to land, because I wasn't having that forward wind, now I ended up going really a lot further on that glide slope once the wind stopped blowing. So be careful about that too.
Bonnie wants to know, is engine out something that you teach in training, which I hope most instructors teach, but that's what she was asking.
Yes. So what we do is we get the students really comfortable with takeoffs and landings. We get them to do, turns to the left, turns to the right. As students, as you get more and more flights in, we get you higher and higher, and then we get to the point where you can come in and you can kind of judge where you're going to land. So we kind of get that glide slope going. After they kind of feel that glide slope is going, then we get you right back up to where you were before. We have you kill your motor, and then you come in dead stick and you land. We're at a sod farm, pretty much as far as the eye can see. It's great for beginners. I mean, as far as the eye can see, no trees, no power lines. You can mess up bad and you still can land in the sod farm as far as misjudging where you're going. So we throw a wing bag out, and that's where you try to hit. And actually that's your PPG3. When you get up to your PPG3, you need to be within 30 feet of a wing sack 3 times coming in dead stick. So if you move from PPG 1, 2, and 3, you will eventually get to that point. But coming down from up north, and you're only going to be down for a week or two, we're going to get you really, really good at takeoffs, at landings. when you come in for landing, we're going to get you to where you can really get within 30 feet of that spot that you want to be. And then you go back and you just keep on training. So training never stops. Every time that you inflate, you're training. Every time you land, you're training. Every time that you pull your right brake to see what you're doing, you're training. Everything that you do is always training. Yeah, it's fun, but everything you do is the repetition and you are training.
Definitely.
Was there any other question that we need to talk about?
Yeah, I was just responding to CT Fly. He was asking about electronic fuel injection, and for the most part, I mean, PPG is still lives in the carburetor world. There is though some work on EFI, and there isn't there a motor that's
Yeah, I thought Vitarazzi said they were coming out with one this year, EFI. I mean, I haven't heard any more about it, but that's what they said.
Yeah, I think it's in the works. The interesting thing is, I wonder, first of all, how the maintenance wise, how that's gonna, I mean, that carburetor that we use now, the Warbro, is pretty darn easy to pull apart and put back together. Even I
Yeah,
can do it. And I'm not mechanically inclined, so I'm wondering about fuel injectors and stuff like that.
Right, fuel injectors getting clogged. Oh crap! I got to go buy some fuel injector treatment.
Yeah, so
For my Paramotor.
I don't know. They're kind of, EFI and the battery, I don't know. I mean, I'm still thinking that everything's gonna go towards the batteries.
Eventually, everything's going to be batteries. I totally get you, but I think
Yeah.
it might be steps. Go to EFI, then go to battery. Battery EFI, because
Oh, so
a
you
lot of
think it's
people,
like a stepping stone too? It's kind of
well,
like I mean, yeah, I didn't think about it that
just
way.
like when you get a motor or a wing, when you get a motor and a wing, you have an idea. Are you going to just buzz your LZ, or are you going to go cross country? So if you like to do cross countries, battery ain't going to work. But
Yeah, that's right.
EFI will work, because now no matter what altitude you go to, it adjusts for it. You don't have to adjust your highs and lows when you go to a different altitude. Like when we went to Moonshiners, it was like 4,000 or 5,000 feet, and I'm used to being only 100 feet or so above sea level. So you have to adjust carbs a little bit. If you got the EFI, you don't have to. Real quick, I saw James up there that he said I'm a firm believer that no one should land with the motor on. It makes no sense to leave it on. However, I disagree. Let me explain. If you always land with the motor off, you might be at a disadvantage if you go up there and now you find yourself where there's a little bit more wind that you're expecting. And if you turn off your motor, now you're floating backwards. If you come in, on a landing backwards, because, this rogue wind comes in and you don't expect it, you're going to turtle, and it's going to be kind of devastating to your equipment. If you come in and you learn how to come in with the motor on, if you have that wind, there's many times, as you get more experience, obviously, you can land in heavier and heavier winds, right? So let's say that you go up early in the morning and you're enjoying your flight. You got 2 hours or so, 3 hours worth of gas, and now all of a sudden the wind has changed, or it's going a little bit stronger than you're used to, and you come in and you're coming down almost like an elevator. When you land there, if you don't have power on, or if you're at the beach and you don't land with power on with that wind, you're going to stumble backwards, and you're going to turtle. If you're beach flying, you definitely need to understand how to come in with your motor on. So I believe, passionately, that yes, as a student, you go up when there's almost no wind, you understand how to come in with your motor off. But as you progress, you might want to learn how to use that motor to help you penetrate, because sometimes the wind, this has happened more than once. I come in and I notice that I'm coming down almost straight like an elevator, right? The wind is really picked up down below. So I give it a little bit of gas, so I have a little bit more momentum going forward. So when my feet touch, I'm still at maybe a quarter throttle, standing still. Then I give it a little bit more throttle. I walk forward, I let up, I turn around, and I immediately grab the sea lines, pull it down. The wing comes down no matter how fast the wind is going. So having a little bit higher winds that you train in is probably beneficial. I mean, that's me personally.
What would be cool to have, which will never happen, is an electric paramotor with a solar wing, and the lines that come down charge the battery.
Oh, that's what I believe is going to happen.
That
I believe that's.
I mean, I may be out there with that one, but that would be bad to the bone.
No,
All the lines coming down, charging
Yeah.
the battery. The wing is solar. It's like, yeah, man, you just fly forever.
that might be 20 years in the future, but that will come. I'm very sure. I mean, they got paint that's solar, you know? I mean, everything's going solar, everything's going electric. You know, Open PPG has an amazing battery, which is 1 hour. You can fly for an hour with one battery. Now imagine if you put this on a trike, Scuba Steve. Right? You put it,
Yeah.
you put this on a trike, and now you daisy chain 2 batteries. So now you can go up with your trike and fly for 2 hours because the weight doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I'm right in the middle between you, Sean, and James, as
Yeah.
far as the motor thing. I normally kill my motor unless it's gusty. If there are gusty conditions, you know, I want that extra little, you know, oomph if I need it or want to change my mind or whatever. I'd say I think the reason that it's an issue is like for new people, very, you know, new to the sport. I think the instructors probably tell them to kill their motor because, you know, okay, they kind of weighing the pros and the cons. How much damage can the person do if they lose control of the motor or the throttle versus worst case scenario, they're gonna, you know, glide to a landing. So yeah, I definitely, I would feel comfortable. I'm comfortable enough in where I am at this stage to land with the motor on. It's clutched and I'm
There's
confident. Yeah, I
there's
mean, I could
always
still
that.
put the ball, and you don't know what your hands are going to do in that instance. So I've just always killed my motor.
Yeah, I usually kill my motor, but I wait. There's always that boundary of air you hit. It seems like when you get below 100 feet, you'll feel that turbulent air and then it smooths out. And then when I know that I'm going to come in smooth, I commit. Then that's when I kill the motor and land. And I just do that mainly because I don't want my lines to get caught up in the prop or anything like that. I mean, yeah, I could see landing with the motor on, but it's been fine for me, motor off so far.
One of the things that I really enjoy is foot dragging. I can do an infinity, and then I keep on going towards wherever I want to go. And then right before I want to land, I mean, my feet are still on the ground. I just kill the motor, pull the brake, and stand and just keep on walking. So I love to be able to foot drag right to a landing. So that's another thing that, you know, I mean, you can't do that with the motor off. You know, foot dragging is something neat and special.
She just sent me a picture of solar fabric. Are you freaking kidding me? So
Dang.
It's right around the
So, I
corner.
mean, even our clothing's going to be solar, right? So
Yeah.
charge our phones while we're walking out,
yeah.
out in the sun.
Can I borrow your shirt for a second? Oh, I wanted to tell you, Sean, I have been doing something that you remember we were talking about taking a wrap. I've been taking wraps on my landings, and that's worked out really well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's still awkward though with the hand with the throttle in it, trying to come up with. So I've been
Right.
just basically grabbing above it. But that has made a difference.
So you have different types of throttles. You have ones that the throttle comes up this way. You have another one where the throttle thing comes out this way, and you have trigger throttles, right? So depending on what kind of throttle you have in your hand, you will wrap your hand this way for one, or wrap your hand the other way for the other way, or for the way that the trigger's coming down. So kind of feel, you know, you can hang check it, or you can just put a rope up or something like that, and just kind of feel what it feels like to grab that and wrap it this way or wrap it this way. And anytime that you wrap, you're getting an extra 6 inches to 12 inches after you unwrap it. I think I showed this before using a cable like this. So for example, you know, here's this. I'm holding on to this right here. If I take a wrap, there's 2 ways of doing it. I can wrap around this way, right? So I still have my trigger finger, or I can wrap around the other way like this and I have my trigger finger. But no matter which way you turn it, look at how much extra brake line you have. Don't let your brake lines in or out. Learn how to use that wrap, and now you have an extra 6 inches to 12 inches. And if you don't need it, now your flare is just to here and you're stopping, great. But if you need it, or if you pull too much and you go back up, hold on to that there. And now when you flare, now you're just tiptoeing on the ground. So having
don't
that,
give it back.
yeah, don't give it back. But I really believe that taking that wrap as a new person gives you the ability to really be able to flare and really air brake yourself down to where you just step down. I have bad knees, bad back. I'm an old grandpa. You will never see me run. I trust the thrust taken off, and I bleed off everything, and I come down and land gently every single time.
Is
Wrap.
that wrap a separate piece or something? I'm trying to picture what that, is
Yeah,
that what you had in your hand?
here,
That's
Linda,
the wrap?
right. So Linda, just imagine that this is what I'm holding on to. This is my brake toggle, and
Okay,
this is the line, right? So if
Yeah.
I just reach up and go around like this once, right? Look at how much, this is how much extra I wrapped. I wrapped a lot. So that's like coming up here, grabbing it up here to have that much extra. So when you're coming in, you can take a wrap, and now on both hands, you actually have an extra 6 to 8 inches, 6 to 12 inches, depending on how you wrap your line. You may not need it.
What
but
was the backwards one again?
So
How'd you do it the other way?
right. So I don't have an actual toggle with me, right?
Right.
But let's say that you have a toggle here, right? So you're holding
Right.
onto your toggle. You can wrap it by going to the right. You can wrap it by going to the left. Depending on your throttle
Wow.
and your throttle handle, one way may not work. So I got the off-grid throttle. I have another throttle. I got numerous throttles, and I got my trigger throttles. So depending on how I want to take the wrap, if I'm going to keep the motor on, I need to make sure that my trigger is not wrapped up, because when you wrap like this, now you're going to go full throttle. So you got to
Yeah,
be really
That
careful,
would be bad.
and you need to practice this on the ground before you take wraps. So get your throttle, you get your cable, get your throttle, feel what it feels like going this way, feel what it feels like to go this way. If you don't feel comfortable, or if you keep on grabbing that throttle, you keep on pressing that throttle, don't do that when you're up in the air, especially if you're going to land
Yeah,
with power
technique
on.
really matters. Really.
Practice
I actually,
with
one time I took a
simulators.
wrap. One time I took a wrap. I actually got the throttles. It was caught. It got, kind of wrapped around the line, the split A's or whatever. It just got caught in between there. So I could see that would be a real issue.
If I take a wrap, my motor's already going to be off. I'm just saying. I don't want, just in case it accidentally hits that throttle, motor's already going to be off.
When I do my foot drag to a landing, or anytime I do a foot drag, I always take a wrap. The reason why, take a wrap and hands to the toggle, right? The reason why, when your hands are up to the toggle and you're flying at the speed the wing is supposed to fly at, right? So if you get some sink, look at how much room you have to keep yourself from slamming yourself into the ground. Because remember, this is all air braking. When you brake, that trailing edge comes down like this, and it will slow you down. So if you decide to do yourself an infinity, right? So you're going into the wind, you're going with the wind, and crosswind. If your motor dies when you're going with the wind, you are accelerating really fast. You can still, with that wrap, hands up, your motor goes out, you can stop it, slow down enough where you just walk it off, even downwind.
Huh.
But always check, always do simulators. Simulators, it's so important to just do it on the ground over and over. Hang something from your rafters, right? It doesn't make, you can do anything that has a toggle-like feel, right? Those bungee things, right, that you exercise with, those things are cheap. We use those actually in the simulator because when you pull, it kind of feels like you're pulling the wing. So take those and feel with the throttle, feel what it feels like to go around one way, feel what it feels like to go the other way to take that wrap. But you got to make sure that you know how to do it on the ground before you go up in the air. Practice, practice, practice on the ground. Ask your instructor also, you know, what would be the best way to take a wrap if I needed to.
So Angela wants to know if you're going to talk about your new tandem.
Oh, yes. Okay. So I went down to Florida with Mark and Shanna, and we got a tandem rig, and we also got a trainer rig. So since we talked about that, let's take a look at the trainer rig. And Andrew Fuller, the guy that makes the SkyTap Angel, what we did with the trainer rig is we put the SkyTap Angel, we took off the comfort bars and the seat, and we put it up against the trainer. Now that works great. Matter of fact, that's what I flew and flew around when I was down there. I love that. That was really good, easy to use. But let me show you. I'm going to share this with you. You can put another cage around it, and you can't see it right here, but there are different lines or different bars that keep it out like this. So now when my student goes out and we got that spinning blade right there, even if they mess up, your lines are not going to get.
Yeah, there's netting on the
jammed.
back there too, isn't there?
Yes.
So, okay, cool. Yeah,
Yes,
that keeps I was wondering why. I mean, I guess with regular paramotors, they don't put that there just for the weight factor. But I still think it's good to have if they could come up with something light just to keep your lines from going into your prop would be nice.
Well, you know, it's one of those things that when you see paratrikes where the motor is really far in the back, right? You don't see lines there. You don't see any netting. The reason why is because you can't get your hands back there. The netting is strictly for you to not get your hands or your throttle or anything that goes into the prop, right? But it creates a drag. Now there are many wings out there, and you guys probably know there are wings that you have the Kevlar coring and a sheathing. Then you also have ones that just have the Kevlar core on part of the lines. And then you have some that are Kevlar core completely they're completely unsheathed. And those are usually the 2 or 3 lines. You got your A's and B's or your A's, B's, and C's. So the reason why you have different paragliding or paramotor wings that are not sheathed is to keep the drag. For example, you take all of your lines and you rosette it up, right? Or you just hold them up like this. Look at how much blockage there is. On some, you can like the hybrid ones, like the hybrid skin. You do the same thing with a 28 meter, and you pull it like this. It's just a little bit. I mean, all your lines only are about this big, right? So I mean, when you're flying, there's not a lot of drag. All of your netting, there's drag. So if you add drag on one side and another side, now you're getting even more drag and even less proficient
I see.
thrust. You can do it on student ones, but it's also heavier. You got more netting. I think it works great for trikes, not so much for, you know, your backpack. Every ounce counts. And that thing is like another paramotor frame on the back. But when you are on a trike, weight really doesn't matter most of the time. Any
So
other
James
questions?
says that full cage, you save the no wait, it just moved. You'll reduce your thrust and horsepower, but safer. Yeah, it's a give and take, right? I mean,
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
That's why some
and
people
Serenity
have.
Island,
Mhm.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say Serenity Island said it's great for students to save the wings, and I have seen that in person.
Yes,
I've seen it save some wings, so that works.
it does. So Bonnie and Brian, when you come here, you are going to be in that trike. And when you inflate the wing, if it comes back down and drapes all over it, kind of don't have to worry about anything being sucked into the prop. So it's good starter. It's a good trainer.
Oh, Bonnie's the one that asked about, did you train about motor out, but she's coming to train with you?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yep. In April.
Oh, April. Hell, I'll be in Georgia in April.
Yep.
Well,
Too
she's
bad
starting
that's
off
not
in
when Bad
May.
Apples is, darn it.
What was that, Steve?
I said, too bad that's not when Bad Apples is. You know, Bad Apples is in May when the other event's up here. So it's kind of like, do I go to Bad Apples or do I go the one that's right down the road from my house? You know, Bad Apples would be cool to go to, but it's far. But yeah, I'll be in Georgia in April. I don't, not to bring up death or anything. My boss passed away in December. He's not getting buried until April. That's the longest I've ever seen a funeral, or I don't know what they plan on doing, but man, that's far out.
Don't they
Wow.
call that like cybergenics or cyber? I don't know. That is a long way.
You go to Bad Apples. James says, yeah, you go to Bad Apples. There's no question you go to Bad Apples.
He's right. If you ever experienced it,
No, I have not been to Bad Apples.
you got to at least experience it once because you don't have enough information to make that decision yet.
Right.
You know,
Bad Apples is really badass.
it is. What part of Georgia are you going to?
I'll be over Loganville's. It's not far from Stone Mountain. So it's
Well,
like,
is it like
it's
close
like
to Andersonville?
Andersonville. Never heard of that
Like
one.
southwest Georgia?
Southwest Georgia. No, this will be, you know where Atlanta is? It's directly
Yeah.
east of Atlanta is where I'm going.
Oh,
So I would have to
no,
go
that's not good.
south and west to get over to, I guess,
Yeah, you could always
Hodgesfield.
fly it. You could still fly that field.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful field.
Man, I don't know.
Okay, I got one more thing that I learned as far as my training down there, and I will get to the tandem trike in just a moment. But one of the things also that I learned, obviously, we don't have to do any type of maintenance or record keeping, but something that they said was get a logbook, and every time that you go out, every pilot should have something like this, and every time that you go out, you should tell your story. Tell your story. Today I went out, and I used this particular paramotor wing, right? This is my paramotor that I use. This is my paramotor wing. Obviously, some people out there is like, well, I don't have one wing and one paramotor. Well, that's the way I was when I first started. Now I have 10 wings. I have 4 or 5 now I have more, now I have trikes. It's amazing how quickly you can build up. And if you go to an SIV with your wings, you'll see when you do your SIV that even though I have different wings and they're all 28 meters, they all act differently. So if you're in one particular wing and motor, you want to write down, well, today I launched at this type. There was a slope. There wasn't a slope. This was the time that I launched. Airspeed, distance, the type. Was it sunny, cloudy, rainy? I mean, it really makes sense to do that because do you really remember what you did last year on April 5th flying? I have no freaking clue. I've flown so many different things. I have no clue. So I think that this is going to be absolutely amazing to be able to not only for me, myself, but also my students. And this is what you're going to get, Bonnie. All my students are going to be getting this now.
Bill wants a link to buy one. He's like, where can I get this logbook?
I don't know. I actually got this from Mark and Shanna. And so I'm going to look to see where they are. There are many different type of logbooks. They said that they're on Amazon. So all my students, as long as you're a student, I really think that as you're learning, take notes. What did you do? What did you fly? What was the weather like? What was the flight details? I went up and I thought it was going to be really good. I got up to 500 feet. It was a lot more windy than I expected. And when I came down, the wind was actually more windy down below. So I had to actually add a little bit more throttle. And this was my first throttle, staying on throttle landing so I didn't turtle. And that way you can see what's going on. I mean, this instructor down there, Mark, I mean, very passionate about what he talks about, and it makes sense. Talk about your flight, what it did, what you did, and then preventive maintenance. Anything that you do, write it down, keep a clipboard on that particular one, especially if you have more than one paramotor. Like I said, I got numerous paramotors now, and I can't really remember what I did or what hour this one is. Did I already do that one? Did I change out the spark plug? These things are incredible. Like I said, I'll get the PDF and I'll have links for you. I'll find out more about these different paramotor logbooks, and I'll look at all the ones that are out there and I'll recommend. If you find one or you use one, please text me 501-747-3558. Let me know what you use. Take a picture of it and say,
Bill
hey, this is what I
Bill
use.
just put a link in chat that takes you to Amazon directly to that very logbook.
Excellent.
It is $7.
Excellent. And it'll probably be the best $7 that you get. Yeah, there it is. Excellent. So I think that because we're not required to doesn't mean that you don't have to. We're not required to keep a maintenance. We're not required to do anything. We can get our paramotor and run it until it just stops, or you can do your maintenance on it. And if you do your maintenance on it, log it. I never log it. I was keeping track in my mind. When you first start flying, what do? I'm on my X amount of flight. After you get up to 100 or so flights, it's like, I don't remember what flight I'm on anymore. Then you start talking about, okay, well, I did my, third 100-hour maintenance. And that's what I started doing. It's like, well, I don't remember how many flights, but I'm on my fifth 100-hour maintenance, or I'm on this. And I got to the point that I can't even keep track of how many 100-hour maintenances I do because I have numerous paramotors. So thank you, Mark and Shanna, for training me and, letting me know that this is probably something smart to do, because you don't know what you don't know.
That's cool. That's a really, really cool idea. That would make a nice little Christmas gift or whatever. I was thinking about maybe and send one to Robert. He probably like that. Yeah, little stocking stuffer.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
$7. Yeah, that's cool. Nothing
Not
wrong
a
with
bad
that.
idea to log stuff. You'll know how many hours you have on your wing, your maintenance, all that type of stuff you could put in there. Whatever you decide to write down, that's
Sure.
good.
Exactly. And like I tell
started-
everybody,
I started a journal last summer, so every day I get in it and I just write stuff, and it's really fun. I'm just saying, journals are fun, and then I can look back sometimes. What did I do last summer on that day or whatever, and then you just kind of go through it and, oh yeah,
If I don't write it down, I don't remember it. So I think I do need to write stuff down.
I do. I write all kinds of things down, what events or whatever I was doing that day. And then you can kind of look back and, go, oh, that's what I did. Okay. So yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
And like I said, even though I am an instructor, I'm always a student. I always try to go out and find advanced lessons, talk with other instructors, talk to people that, do SIVs. You may think that you know a lot, but you're going to find an instructor or somebody that will go and do loops around you. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know about that. What are we seeing on the screen, Will Fly?
So Daniel Roosh sent this as, I guess it's his setup, what he had done to be able to kill the motor. So it looks like down here, that looks like a cutoff. Just a basic cutoff switch there, or is that, I can't tell if that's a cutoff or maybe how he can pinch it, but either way, I mean,
Can you zoom in on that by any chance?
let's see. if I can. Oh, you know what? This is the wrong screen.
No, you can. Okay, so look up there at the top. You can see the plus. I bet you can zoom in on it.
Yeah, let me get the right app open here though. That's the, give me just a sec. Yeah.
Okay.
And then also Angela, that reminded me, she said, yep, you're always a student pilot. Very
Always.
true. Very true.
Exactly.
When you think you're not a student pilot, that's when you're in trouble.
I totally agree. Totally. If
Man,
you believe
I
that
like
you're the best and there's nothing more to learn, that's a bad place to be, I believe, in your life. And that's on anything, you know. If you believe that you have learned everything there is in life, then you stop learning.
I want to stop sharing it so I can actually get to what I need to get to. So let's see. I guess talk about something else until, oh, Matt
Okay.
Sloper said also something about having a card. I think it was you, Matt Sloper. If not, and if I missed somebody's question, I'm really sorry, but like having a little card on like a maybe pre-flight card with pass, fail type questions. That's not a bad idea, but I find it easy to you know, kind of put things kind of in my memory, and I just kind of go down my mental checklist. Unless I get interrupted, then I'm subject to miss something and I have to start all over. But yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, you know, also too, there are a lot of people that think that with a strobe, they can take off the half an hour before sunrise and get up to 2,000 feet and watch the sunrise. Is that legal? Probably not, because you can only go up with a strobe in G airspace, the non-controlled airspace, and that is G. E airspace is considered controlled, even though it may not go into a tower, may not go down to the ground and be surface, but E airspace sits on top of G. So depending on where you are, it may be 700 feet, it may be 1,200 feet. So if you go above your G airspace half an hour before sunrise or half an hour after sunset, that is illegal. You can't go up to 10,000 feet half an hour before sunrise. So you may think that you know, that you may think that you're doing something right. How many people out there?
There you go. Oh
Real
yeah, that's
quick.
definitely a fuel cutoff.
Real quick, real quick. Anybody out there, do you know what I was talking about? If you go up a half an hour before sunrise or half an hour after sunset, you have to stay in G airspace. Did you know that? Just say yes or no in the super chat. We'll go back and take a look. That is a really interesting little thing there. Is
I
that
like-
some-
I like the standoff he's got on there. Well, the standoffs, I should say. He's got a couple of them there because you don't want the fuel line right up against the cage and then zip tie it because it'll pinch your fuel line. So those standoffs help.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So, I mean, there's more than one way to skin a cat there, and that's certainly an acceptable way. I mean, to me, you starve it of fuel, that'd do the trick.
Yeah, that lever would be easy to reach and you know which way is open and closed. So it's like, boom.
Yep.
If you're not in that big a hurry, 8 seconds is not that long. You know, if you're like, okay, I need,
right.
my
Unless
motor's
you're
not
falling.
dying. Yeah, unless you're falling. Yeah.
It is really neat. So when you take a look at this, I see a majority of yeses as far as that answer, but I also say some that said, no, I did not know that. So that's another thing too. You know, you may think that you know your FAR 103s for ultralights, but it could be possible that you maybe misunderstood, misinterpreted, heard it from somebody else, or maybe even went out and said, hey, you know, or one of your friends said, hey, let's go up to 3,000 feet half an hour before sunrise with our strobes on so we can watch the sunrise. And you're like, oh yeah, that sounds like a wonderful idea, because half an hour before sunrise, strobe. You got to know the rest of it. So thank you guys for doing the
We
yes
should
and
do a
no's.
thumbnail and let Sean go so he could pass out because he is tired and everybody can probably tell.
There's a lot of
No?
sun there. Can you tell this is not blush? This is actually sun from Florida. 80 to 90 degrees every day that we were there, and a lot
Wow.
more wind than I was expecting. So yeah, I am kind of beat up from the feet up. So real quick, let's go ahead and go to the trike thing real quick. The trike thing that I got, we call it the Beast, the Beast Pro. The reason why we do, because not only does it have a throttle, but right next to it, down by my hip, also has a lever. So I can do throttle this way and or this way. It has a kill switch here, and it has a kill switch down right in front of all the instrument panels. So I can kill it on the instrument panels, or I can kill it here. And the next thing that will blow your mind is that you can control the wing like a PPC using your feet to steer left and right, and your hand to move the trike wheel left and right. I thought, hey, I've been doing trikes for such a long time. I can go from, left, right, and then use my feet to steer. Oh yeah, I can easily go from left, right with my hands to go left, right with the wheels, and then my feet left, right with the brakes. It doesn't transfer at all. It's a lot more than I thought. So I got a couple of videos that people were able to watch me, and I could not figure out my feet and my hands. It's almost like getting in your car, and now you're braking and your gas turns your car left and right, and your steering wheel is your gas and your brake. Imagine getting into a car with that configuration. Yeah, you may have
Yeah.
lots of years driving a car, but if you go, gas and brake, and then your feet are left and right, it'll freak you out. And it takes a little while, but I can't wait till I actually get that. That's going to be really fun on the Beast. Any other questions out there?
No, but I got a question for while you're talking about the G and E airspace and all the airspaces. So what airspaces are considered uncontrolled? That's a question for the chat.
Okay.
Which airspaces are considered uncontrolled?
I kind of just said that, but I think that we probably need to say
I
that
know you
again.
did. I want to see if they were listening, because that's an important distinction. That was an awesome thing to bring up, really.
Okay. So, in the super chat, let us know what airspace that we fly in is considered, what'd you say, Will? Controlled or uncontrolled?
Which is considered uncontrolled. John got it. Wayne got it. Only G, and he's right.
Only G. Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, too, let's say that I ask everybody out there, where does E airspace start? So here's a question. Where does E airspace start? Because we know it goes up to 18,000 feet, while 7,000, or, it goes up to 17,999. We'll say 18,000 because it's easier to say. E airspace goes up to 18,000 feet, but where does it start? Answer me that question, please, in the super chat. Let's see, we got a lot of people saying only G, only G, only G. Daniel Roosh, A, B, C, or D. I think he's joking.
What?
Yeah, C or D.
So Bonnie Fran says 700 or 1200.
I think you're going for a technical kind of.
I'm gonna totally take care of what it actually is, because people like right here, 1200, you see 700, you see 1200, but the question is 1200 what? 700 what? We have two different ways of saying airspace: AGL, above ground level, and MSL, mean sea level. So when you say this, let me know, what is 1200? Is it 1200 AGL or MSL? Is it 700 MSL or AGL? Please let me know what you think about that too. Let's go ahead and take a look. I see Bonnie Fran saying it depends on location. Okay, James Bevel said at the ground. Bonnie Fran says 700 or 1200 AGL depending on location. Daniel Roosh says AGL for what he said up there. He said 1200 AGL.
Don't know, don't care. Damn.
Travis said,
Who
don't
said
know,
that?
don't care.
Travis.
All right. So here's something that you always got to remember. Airspace always starts at the ground, G for ground or G for grass, and it follows the terrain. So for example, it's a nice level here, but now you got a big mountain, it comes up like this. So you got to think, if it follows the ground, and let's say that it's 1,200 feet, it's going to follow it up like this, right? So it's going to follow that. Depending on where you are in the United States, 1,200 feet above ground level is the on average. I always tell my students, all right, when I ask this question, I want to know on average. G airspace goes from ground to 1,200 feet. There are two exceptions. On the super chat, please tell me, what are those two exceptions about G airspace? John Wayne at top of G. Very good. It's rigged always. It's rigged anyways, says Tony. Oliver says AGL. I did say AGL at the beginning. I don't know. I don't care. Most areas, the Class E airspace is 1,200 feet AGL. In other areas, it's surface or 700 feet AGL. Some Class E airspace begins at MSL altitude. I thought it was a spinning wheel that was rigged. Will fly. Okay, so your E airspace always sets on top of G airspace. That means that it can be at any height along this as far as MSL, right? So there's two differences or two different exceptions. 1,200 across the United States. Two exceptions. Will fly. All right. If I'm under a dash magenta around an airport,
Class E surface area? Is that what you're talking about?
well,
Or
there's
are
two
you
different.
talking about a class? No, Class D. Dashed blue is a Class D airport. It's a controlled airport, and then dashed magenta is Class E surface area.
Okay.
So the E comes all the way down and touches the surface. Is that what you're meaning? Kind of
Right.
missed the question, but I think that's what you meant.
Yes, correct. So what we're saying is that E air or G airspace can go underneath and only go up to 700 feet in some places, right? And some places it will go all the way up to 1,200 feet, depending on where you are when you're looking at the sectionals. The other one, you go way out west, and G airspace will go all the way up to 14,500 feet. So we're obviously, like I said, across the whole United States on average, G airspace goes up to 1,200 feet. In some places, it's only 700 feet. And that also means, too, that if you don't know where that 700 feet is, and you take off at, before sunrise or after sunset, and you go up to 1,100 feet or just below that 1,200 feet, thinking that you're level or thinking that you're legal, if G airspace goes up to 7, you're in, a different airspace, and that is illegal. Some places out west will go up to 14,500 feet. But in only different small areas.
Mine's Class D all the way to the ground. So yeah, I got to get permission. This is Class D all the way to the surface.
Well, Class D, that's an airport that has a tower, so it's a
Yes.
controlled
Oh yeah.
tower.
Well, it's an Air Force base, so yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be, but I mean, like Hickory, North Carolina, that's a Class D airport.
Mm-hmm.
And here's if you look at a sectional like out west, you'll see, how you got the shaded magenta circles
Yep.
that denote where Class E airspace, it comes down to 700 feet instead of 1,200. Well, the same thing is they have with Class G airspace, except it uses blue, fuzzy, shaded areas. But you don't see it on the sectional because everything is within that blue, fuzzy shaded area. But if you look out west, then you'll see those little pockets of shaded blues. And that's what you were talking about, Shane, where the Class G goes up to 14,500 feet.
But just remember that E airspace always sets on top of G airspace, unless obviously it goes down to surface. Very interesting. I mean, we're learning a lot of stuff here. It's really interesting when you're looking at the super chat and you see people go, "Oh, wow, I didn't know that." That's why we do these shows. You know, we do these shows because, you know, some people might know a little bit more. And I know that I always learn something, uh, regardless if it's paramotor or not paramotor, when we do these shows. And I love to do this because you always learn something. All right. Anything else? Did we miss anything else as far as questions? Or does anybody on the panel have any questions about anything?
Angela wanted to, I guess Marcus asked about the fly-in down in Florida, the Fly for Gauge. That is going to be in Bowling Green, Florida, June 8th through the 11th. So come on down. You won't be disappointed. It's a great place to fly.
Excellent. Now I know that tomorrow over at ppgshane.com, Paramotor Hangouts, you're going to be talking really in depth about the fly-in. Is there any way that you can tell us a little bit about the fly-in that isn't going to ruin your show tomorrow, but just give us an idea of how it was?
Well, it was about the crossing the state of Florida. That's what it was. And so I went down to, participate in that and see if we could get all the way across the state of Florida on a paramotor. And if we did, or if we didn't, that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. But regardless, it was a lot of fun. It was frustrating. It was challenging. It was just about any emotion you could possibly imagine, all wrapped into one. So that's pretty much what we're going to talk about. And we're also going to talk about some safety things, maybe some things that happened.
Did y'all have to fly through a lot of air spaces when you're, I mean, just wondering.
No, I mean, we
Okay.
had to go around some airspace and some restricted flight under some restricted areas. But
Okay.
yeah,
Good
I mean,
enough.
it was interesting.
Okay, I'm glad that you brought that up too, Will. A lot of people may not know about the sectionals or how to read them. I mean, you go through school and you go through your sectional class, and that's a lot to learn. And a lot of times we really don't need to know it as long as we know that the airspace that we fly in is clear. So it's what I use personally, of course, is Sky Vector. That's where you can find your sectional charts online. But one of the apps, if you have an iPhone, the Sky Fly High or the Fly Sky High, I can't remember which way it goes, but that particular app, one of the features that you can get, it's only like $8 or something,
Yep.
is your airspace. And that is the most incredible way of flying. You have that Sky Fly High set on your chest mount.
Fly
You
Sky
can-
High.
Is it Fly Sky High? Fly
Yeah.
Sky High, right? So you get the Fly Sky High app, it's open, and you have it set like this. You can see all the different airspaces, it's like, is that something I could fly in? Well, you press and hold and it'll pop up saying see airspace or E to surface or whatever, and it'll actually show you in 3D. So as you're flying like this, it'll show you that you have 10 more feet to go higher, or you need to stay underneath something, or you have to stay above this particular the shelf that you're on. It is the best app that I have used. Now I know that there are Android apps that are similar because you can't get that unless you have an iPhone. Does anybody else have an Android phone that does something similar with this Fly Sky High that we use? I know that Tucker
I think
got.
there are still 2 or 3 people that have Androids.
I think so. I know that Tucker was talking about it, and it's a free one that you can get. Does anybody know about that one? Because I don't, because I'm an iPhone.
Free one.
A
free-
free app, because
For
the Fly
Android.
Sky High is,
Oh, for Android.
yeah,
Does-
Fly Sky is paid.
Does Gaggle work on Android? I'm not sure, because Gaggle lets you do stuff like that and get the airspaces also.
Okay, I haven't really delved into the Gaggle yet, but I do have it.
It's pretty cool.
I actually used Gaggle on the cross country, and a lot of people don't know that you can use Gaggle to plan routes. And it, of course, keeps track of your progress and stuff, which is a pretty cool feature. Actually, I didn't know it until just this weekend. So
For some reason, my airspace isn't showing up on my Fly Sky High.
you have to pay for it.
I did. That's what I don't understand. It's showing blank right now.
Huh.
That's the first time I've ever seen it do that. I was going to show people what it looks like, but it's not working.
That's why, because you want to show people. That's
Right.
how it works, man.
So this is the map right here. So I can zoom out and I can see all the airspace that's around me, right? So if I press and hold this right here, I can see that I have Q from ground to 12,766. But what is Q? We don't know about Q. What is that? We have, we have G, we have E, we have A. What the hell is Q, right? So what is Q? Q is caution. Can I fly through that? Sure, but I got to be careful about that. Because that is actually where they do skydiving. So if it's this right here, I know that something's going on from ground to 12,756. What is it? Well, that's the skydiving area. So obviously you got to check your NOTAMs, because they're going to put the NOTAMs out there saying, hey, we're going to be doing some skydiving. Be careful. So that's something that you can check. Over here too, I can press and hold and I can see, okay, I got restricted from ground to 16,000. The rest of it doesn't make any difference. It's ground to 16,000. I can't go through it. It's restricted. So no big deal. I come over here too, and I can see that there's a shelf here. It's a C shelf, right? That's your upside down wedding cake thing, right? So underneath 1,800 feet is G airspace, right? G airspace is going to go up to what? 700 feet. After 700 feet to 1,800 feet, that's E airspace. 1,800 feet and above to C is C airspace, up to 4,300. And then above that is what? E airspace, because we know that A airspace is above and it goes up to 18,000. So if you know your basic understanding of your airspace,
All the bad airspace I got around me.
you're kind of close. Pull back just a little bit.
Yeah, it's showing. I'm just showing that there's a lot of bad airspace around me. All that red, yeah, is basically unflyable. I'm right here in this airspace, which is class D, and it's ground to 2,500. But I can call the tower and they'll probably give me permission, so it's not a big deal.
Exactly. So one of the things that we're talking about too is D airspace dropping down to ground. And I can see right here that I have ground to 2,800 is D airspace that, I can't fly through. But above 2,800 is D airspace, but it's not something that I have to worry about. However, I'm not going to go on top of this right here because, you got airplanes going all over the place. So I try to stay away from things like that. Even though I can legally go above it, I ain't going to do that. That's way too much airspace I got to be careful about. So many different ways of learning airspace. And Jeff Goen has put out an amazing video for airspace. If you get the opportunity, go over to FootFlyer and pick up a copy. It's a DVD and it's the airspace, and he shows it in 3D. So you're looking at the sectional chart, then it turns up and you can actually see it in 3D from the ground up, and you can really understand what this is all about. And I give this to my students so they can understand what airspace is, and they can really grasp the airspace so quick. And that's actually how I grasp the airspace. Goen has done an amazing job.
Whoa. Mic change.
I'm sorry, I bumped it. It's back.
Yeah.
All right, what are we seeing right here, Will Fly?
What you're seeing right here, you were talking about class G going all the way up to 14,500 feet. Everything on this side of the shaded side, that's where it starts at the 1,200 feet, unless it's within that magenta shading, which is up here. Then it's 700 feet. But inside that's where class G goes up to, but doesn't include 14,500 feet. That's how you know. but that's why you don't see this blue shading everywhere on the map, because it's it's prolific. So prolific,
Yeah,
did I say that right?
I got none of that around me.
No, and everywhere in the east it's we're all within the on the blue shaded side. So
Mhm.
yeah, there you go.
The reason my air zones wasn't working is because I've had the app open for like 3 months, and that's so I closed the app, open it back up, it's fine now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's all it was.
I see. Where's this? John Wayne said it's not considered NOTAMs. We still call it NOTAMs. They used to be Notice to Airmen, and now they changed it to Notice to Air Missions. I still haven't heard anybody call it Notice to Air Missions. We still call it Notice to Airmen, but I guess we need to change our vernacular every once in a while so we don't say men and women.
I'm too old to change. It will always and forever be a NOTAM. I still call the airport, but the airport facility directory and airport facility directory, but now they call them sectional or chart supplements.
I'm sorry, say that one more time. What?
The airport facility directory, that's just a directory of basically of airports for a
Mhm.
region, that they've changed that now to become sectional chart supplements. And I don't know why they need to keep changing terms, just causes more confusion than anything, but
Well, let's see if I can bring it up. I think I paid for it on Gaggle too, because I ain't got no sense. All right.
There's no reason why you can't have multiple apps that you enjoy.
I know, right?
I used to like the PPGPS, but they don't have it anymore. I actually bought the paid version of PPGPS. I really liked it because it had the burn rate of your motor, how much you put in there as far as fuel, and actually will show you how much fuel you're burning. So it's actually, your fuel gauge.
I wonder if this is going to show up. It is way too bright.
Pull it back just a little bit so we can see.
It's maybe if I turn this light off. No, wow, that looks just like pure white to you guys.
that's
It
called
does.
Imagine.
It says waiting for takeoff. This is Gaggle, but it is showing me the airspaces, and it's showing the routing back to takeoff. So if you take off and get lost, you can look at this and it tells you, hey, this is where you need to go to get back to your LZ, which is pretty cool. And it shows over on the side what class airspace you're in and what it is. Like ground to 2500, it's saying I'm in class D from ground to 2500. And how much gas you got in your tank. You can put, how much you usually burn per hour, and it'll go, hey, you need to get some more gas. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. Well, I think I'm gonna have to look a little bit more into the Gaggle.
Wind direction. Oh, it almost showed up. Yeah, it shows wind right now, southwest at 9 miles per hour.
Okay, I'm gonna have
Pretty
to.
neat that it's got it all on one little screen there.
Absolutely.
Just wish it'd show up. It's just pure white on the screen.
That's no problem. I think somebody did tell us what the Android version was, but I missed it. I think it said "CU" something. Did you guys catch it?
I didn't catch it.
If you know the Android version of the Fly Sky High, can you please put it back in the chat? I missed it a little
Showed
bit.
it on satellite, but it's still pretty bad. All right.
Now Gaggle is what, both Android and iPhone?
Gaggle should be both, I think. And it's not that much to get the airspaces. I think it's like $8 a year or something like that. It's not that bad.
No,
So,
the Fly Sky High is, once you buy it, it's there forever.
yeah, I don't remember on the Gaggle. I just bought it, and because I was like, oh, this is a new app. It looks cool. And then I don't remember what it was.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Travis says Gaggle gives away your secret LZs.
It does tell. There's I don't know if you can see anybody that flies anywhere around you. It shows their flights. You can actually play their fights. It'll show you and how high they went, how long they flew. It's pretty cool.
Ah, so you can.
Nate Gill 897 feet max altitude. He went 17.2 miles and flew for 44 minutes.
That's neat. That's neat and scary at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I changed you can change the privacy settings.
Oh, okay.
Now, let me ask you this, guys. If you wanted to tell your loved one, okay, hey guys, I am going to go fly today. I plan on doing this particular route. And if you go to this particular link, you'll be able to watch me not only live, but in 3 dimensionals, where you can actually open it up. You see where I am, you see me take off, you see me go in three dimensions. I can pan and turn around and see where you are. Do you guys know about that? Because there's a secret on that one, that you can actually do that. I've sent my link to my friends and family that want to know where I'm flying, and they can watch me in real time. Do you know how to do that? And yes, it is free. Who knows about that? Let me know in the super chat before I tell you how to do that. Or does anybody else do something like that where they actually watch their flight in 3D? Will, do you do
I
any
do.
of that?
That's what I use Gaggle for.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really cool where you can, I mean, and when you say 3D, you mean 3D. I mean, you can kind of just go all around it, underneath you,
Is that
above
live?
you.
Is that
Huh?
live, Will?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Now, of course, it's not you, it's just a little dot, whatever, but it's a fascinating concept, and I'm certainly sold on it. Especially what I like is you can go back and, when you can replay your own flight, and you can see it, 3-dimensionally, and like your altitudes as you increase and descend, and it's just really cool.
Are you talking about pendulum junkies? I'm just wondering.
No,
Oh,
actually,
okay.
no. On the Fly Sky High, you can actually go to the settings and open up. Let me see where that is. Live tracker. So I go over here and I go to live tracker. And now what I do is I put in my Live Track 24 account, which is also free. I put in my username and password. Please don't try to hack me. And now you can actually find people that are on the LiveTrack 24 website. So you go to LiveTrack 24, I think it's .com. Make yourself a free account. This is not my stuff. This has been out there for a long time, and it will automatically upload your flights. So now I can go to LiveTrack 24, grab my link for that particular flight that I'm going to fly that day, send it to my friends and family, and they can now watch me in live 3D where I am and watch me fly. So that's a way of doing it too if you don't have Gaggle.
You have to open the app for it to start recording, or do you have to start the recording manually?
All you do, like for example, if you want to open up your Fly Sky High, right? So there's different ways of doing this. So I can hold it this way vertically, or I can go to the side, and actually shows different different screens. I can actually move my screen to the side, and I can add on different metrics that I want to see. Everything from taking a picture to seeing my battery, my ground speed, my wind speed, which way the wind is going. And I can add on all the different screens. Like I like this screen right here. So it has these different options, and it actually shows where I am. And then these screens right here are blank. So now I can press and hold. And when I press and hold, come on, you can do
No,
it.
that's where my Fly Sky High gets stuck right there. When I open
Right.
Fly Sky High, it takes me to that screen, and that's as far as I can go. There is it's a known issue that they're working on.
Oh, okay. So before you're able to press and hold, and then it came up with pluses, and that's
Yep.
how you can add on these different metrics. And they got all sorts of different metrics.
Yep.
G-forces, it even has the vario on there. It shows everything. And you can also do that too by going back over here. So I'm going to hit stop, and I can go down. Sorry, where am I? I should be wearing glasses because I'm a grandpa. Logbook, and now I can see my logs of all the flights that I've taken as long as I've been here. Just scroll, and then I can actually tap it, boop, and now I can come up here to replay. So I hit the replay, and now I can watch me fly and see all the metrics. Where did I go? Did I hit any airspace? How high was I? When was it? Everything as I replay my flight from wherever it was that I did this. So it's really good. I guess it's kind of similar to Gaggle. Does anybody else do anything like that? I don't always watch my flight when I'm in the air. Yeah, this is all in the background. So I will usually just open up my Fly Sky High, boop, and then I'll hit start, turn it off, put it in my pocket, and it'll
There you
record
go.
everything. Whenever I start, it'll start. Whenever I land, it'll end. Is that kind of like what Gaggle's doing?
Yeah, pretty much. You hit start and it waits for you to take off and then it starts recording.
Yeah, Fly Sky High is much more configurable though.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that's what I would have used had mine worked properly. I'd used it pretty much, that's all I used, but then it just stopped working.
I like the groups they got in Gaggle though. So if you fly with like 3 or 4 people, you can make a whole group and have all y'all in there at the same time. It's pretty neat.
I'm
Shows a
definitely-
dot on the map where they are. So you can go, oh, he's over there.
Definitely going to have to look more into Gaggle. I've only flown with it a couple of times. I guess you can find me. I mean, I'm on Gaggle as PPG Grandpa. So, you know, if you're on Gaggle, see if you can find me and see what I've done when I turned it on. I don't use it very much, but I will turn it on next time and, you know, do more flights with it since a lot of people do Gaggle. Have we really been talking for almost 2 hours?
Yep.
Holy
And we said it was going to be a 45-minute show.
Yeah.
Man alive, I tell you. This I so love this. I mean, I really do. I love hanging out with you guys. I really do. Even though I'm completely exhausted, this is so much fun. I really do. I love this. This is what I love to do. This is why I'm an instructor from sun up to sundown 7 days a week. This is all I do. You know? So heart
It's
and soul.
okay.
Heart
We love
and
it.
soul.
We love it.
I
I had to remove my green screen because Miss Molly, you know, I could hear her messing with it. I'm like, okay, this thing's gonna go down. So I like forget about it.
So
How I know
what-
how to do all this. Pretty exciting.
I can see that spin the wheel already. Well, what did we do at the very beginning, Linda,
But sorry, I
of the
missed.
show? We didn't do the spinning wheel winnie things. We did something else. What did we do? So you can tell everybody what we did.
At the beginning,
Mhm.
what we do, we talk about paramotors.
No, when we gave away something, remember somebody won this morning when we did this?
Oh, Deweese.
Yeah, she won. So
Yes.
tell everybody what happened because we didn't spin the wheel, but how did she win?
Oh, okay. She listened to the secret code after the show, but we were on the air, but not on the air, but you could listen to the secret code. Like we don't say it like right now, okay, this is what it is. You have to stay on after and listen for the secret code. And then next week, we're going to ask everybody in the chat, what is that secret code? So
Right.
don't leave the chat. I mean, we'll go away, say bye-bye, all that stuff. But you can still listen to us and listen for the secret code. So we have to
Let's
do discuss
secret-
this.
Let's go ahead and do the secret code right now. All right. So what we do is at some point.
After I explained everything.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and just do it right now. That way, people that are listening right now, we got 30 people that
Okay.
are watching, and then we're also going to have the audio, and people are going to watch this later on.
Okay.
A lot of people don't
Okay.
watch this live.
Did I answer it right though? Is that did I say it right?
You sure did. But we've been
See, you can't just ask a woman like, one question because you asked one question and then the answer will go on like forever. We just keep
I got one.
adding things to it. And
What is the nickname for your new tandem trike?
Ooh,
Oh, okay, that's good. So I'm going to write that down. And we did say it, so I wrote it down. So next week, all you got to do is when I say, "What's the phrase that pays?" You're going to be the first. You're going to be the first one in the
Phrase
chat
that pays.
that writes down this word, and then you win something. So, like right now, Will is not doing the spinning wheel. We have people in the chat. We have people that are going to listen to this later on, and we give them these opportunities for people that are not watching live to still win something. And there's another way of still winning something. If you go to paramotorarkansas.com, make a free account. Make sure that you add your mailing address. And throughout the month, we just randomly pick somebody and we send them out some sort of prize. So you might just be getting something in the mail and be like, what is this for? It's because you made an account, a free account. You don't have to
I
purchase
still
anything.
don't know. Bill said I still don't. You know, Bill, this one is tricky because we said it earlier. So you have to watch the whole show to remember the nickname for his tandem trike.
I don't even
Y'all
remember.
don't remember? Oh, come on.
I think it was camel toe, wasn't it?
That was the winner from that was our thing from last week. Remember we wanted to see a camel, get towed up in the air, so it's camel TOW, right? We wanted to see the camel being towed. And that was our phrase that pays. And then this morning, and when we started the podcast, 10 minutes in or so, we said, all right, what's the phrase that pays? First one that puts it in there wins. And we'll just do it sporadically. That way you kind of got to watch the whole thing, And if you get it, if you know what it is, then next week when we do the show and we say, what's the phrase that pays? The name of my new tandem trike is the answer. Don't put it in the super chat. That's supposed to be you privately. You should know that. Anyways, any other questions before we go? I can't believe it's almost 9 o'clock already.
10 here, but yeah. Will's like, man, where did you pull off somewhere close to where you're going to be, or are you just going to sleep in the van, or what?
I'm gonna sleep in the van. Got another 300 miles to go tomorrow.
Oh, damn. Okay, then. Well, have fun with that.
Yeah,
Aren't you gonna
thank
be
you.
cold?
Oh, screenshot.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
definitely. All right, let's do the screenshot. Are you doing one, Will, or am I going to do one?
I got it. You ready?
All right.
No, wait, okay.
1, 2, 3. We got it.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
Bloop, bloop. Bloop,
Even
bloop.
got Miss Molly in it, laying on the couch.
And remember last week, everybody wore glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put something. You got to look at it. I put something on the reel, on Facebook, and it's also in stories. It's really funny, so you have to look at it
Excellent.
because we all had our glasses on.
Right. Man, I had a blast. You want to get up with me? You can find me at ppggrandpa.com or iflyparamotors.com. My name is Sean Symons. You can always find me over at my school, which is paramotorarkansas.com. Like I said, just make a free account and you might just get something in the mail for free. I mean, we give away a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know why. Deweese won this morning, right? This morning.
Okay, now you can see
Wow.
the green thing.
Wow. Yeah, you're done
There's the green.
this morning. Yeah, there's the green.
There's the green. I'm Vanna.
Absolutely. And if you want to talk paramotors, you can always text me at 501-747-3558. Or if you want to learn more about the school, just text or call me and we'll hook you up. We also got Scuba Steve that does an amazing podcast on Fridays. And we got Will Fly that does a podcast with Shane. Paramom does just hangs back and lets her famous son do the podcast on Thursdays. So let's start with Will real quick and tell us about your podcast that you do on Tuesday, who you do it with, and the .com so we can go there.
You got it. So Paramotor Hangout every Tuesday, 8 p.m. on YouTube. go to ppgshane.com. It'll take you right there. We talk paramotors or whatever other topic crosses our mind. It's kind of hanging out with your buds at around a campfire at a fly-in. So yeah, check us out. Oh, and you can catch my videos on YouTube. Just search for Will Fly, or you can go to willflyppg.com.
Excelente. Next one in line would be Paramom, because that's Thursday. So let's real quick throw out the paramotorgirl.com. Check that out on Wednesdays.
Yes, yes.
Paramotor.
Oh yeah, paraglidingtalk.com with my son Robert Michaels on Thursday nights. And we have Sean that'll be doing the spinny winnie wheel. So everybody get in the chat. We can win a cool prize. And we always have really good conversation on there, even on the after show. It's really fun. So come join us on Thursday night, paraglidingtalk.com with Robert Michaels. And then if you want to be a guest on my show, paramomusa.com, or it goes right to my Facebook. And just
I think that's the first time you actually plugged yourself. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks. So happy now. Man, I'm just moving up like the Jeffersons here tonight. Go. Man,
Excellent.
I shock myself sometimes. I do those things. So
Well,
see
we
if I've
thank
been
you.
practicing. I just go in the mirror and I practice. So no, I'm just kidding. So thank you, chatters. All you chat. How many did we have in the chat tonight?
38 is what I saw.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, chatters. We appreciate you every Monday hanging with us. We absolutely do. So make sure you hang with us next week. We got a really cool guest. I'm not going to say who it is. It's always a surprise. But it'll be a lot of fun. So
Y'all do text Sean, make sure you wait about 12 hours because he's going to be out. Just saying.
That is very true. That's very true. Everybody knows
Yeah.
tomorrow there's no class. I'm so sorry. I need some sleep real bad. But also too, real quick, Scuba Steve, he does a vaping / paramotor podcast on Fridays. Tell us a little bit about that and how do we go there?
Yeah. Basically, you can go to paramotordude.com. That'll take you right over to my YouTube channel. We talk about vaping. We talk about flying paramotors. And it's called Scuba's Hangout. So there you go. So you got a paramotor hangout, then you got Scuba's Hangout. How can you forget? Yeah. And somebody said, what about Wednesday? Yeah, that's the
Come on, Scuba Steve, you should know this.
girls just want to fly. Yeah, just want to fly. Yeah, that's it.
and what's the .com? How do we get to her page, or how do we get to her?
Ooh, what is her .com?
Come on, it's similar to yours.
I know.
Deweese is paramotorwoman.com, right?
Right.
There you go. Well, does that? I don't know if that links over there or not.
I know what it
doesn't.
is.
That's hers.
I know what
Remember, we're talking about this girl over here. Girl here. Girl. Hint. Girl.
Okay.
Paramotorgirl.com.
There you go.
Paramotorgirl.com. Okay.
You're as bad as me trying to remember this stuff.
Hey, I'm old. I got. I can't think of. And Scuba and Fruit Loops. There you go. Yeah.
Fruit Loops. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and thank you for keeping me awake just a little bit longer. And that's a good thing because I love you guys. I love doing this podcast. I love teaching. I love paramotors, and I love trikes. Shout out to Mark and Shanna down in Serenity Island at Air Sports USA, and that helped me out to going down there. I'll be going down there again to continue training because this was just too quick, unfortunately. So I'll be back down to Florida pretty soon and hanging out with you guys. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Fly safe, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Good night.